Coco Gauff's former coach tells her what she did wrong against Elina Svitolin after Australian Open exit. Coco Gauff really struggled in her quarter-final match at the Australian Open against Elina Svitolin. Gauff was thrashed by Svitolin, winning just 3 games in her 59-minute defeat to the Ukrainian. However, one of the big talking points came after the match, when Gauff was seen breaking her racket behind the scenes. Gauff called for more privacy for players, but now her former coach has brought the conversation back to her performance on court. Brad Gilbert points out mistake Coco Gauff made with her serve against Elina Svitolin. Gauff's serve is often a big topic of discussion, with the world number 3 hiring biomechanical expert Gavin McMillan last year specifically to work on that one shot. Prior to McMillan and another former coach in Matt Daly, Gauff was coached by Brad Gilbert, who helped her win her first major title at the 2023 US Open. Over a year on from their split, Gilbert has commented on Gauff's defeat to Svitolin when speaking to CNN. In this interview, Gilbert claimed that Gauff was not being aggressive enough on her serve against Svitolin, but he suggested that this defeat could actually have long-term benefits. One word that describes Coco incredibly for her age, her whole career, is she's resilient, said Gilbert. And a lot of times, after a loss, she's able to figure things out and move forward. Normally in a match she doesn't lose by a score like that, but I thought that her opponent played very well in slower conditions indoors. I thought maybe she was a little too spinny on her serve. She had 0 aces to 5 double faults, but she won a low percentage of first serve points and second serve points, so I would have liked to have seen her be a little more aggressive on her serve. But the beautiful thing about tennis, sometimes losing can lead to more losing, or sometimes losing can help you go back with your team, rewire, you rewatch the match, learn from it, and make some changes. What is next for Coco Gauff after her Australian Open exit? After losing in the quarterfinals of the Australian Open, Gauff is now confirmed to fall down to world number 4 and be replaced by Amanda Anisimova as the American number 1. However, Gauff will have a good opportunity to overtake Anisimova once again for her next WTA tournament. In less than 2 weeks' time, Gauff is scheduled to compete at WTA 1000 tournaments in Doha and Dubai. Anisimova won the Qatar Open last year and therefore has 1,000 points to defend, while Gauff has just 20 points coming off her ranking from the 2 tournaments combined. Gauff lost both of her matches in the Middle East last year, and she will be hoping for a different outcome in 2026, with the Qatar Open getting underway on February 8th. The space between points. The Melbourne night had a way of stretching time. Under the lights of Rod Laver Arena, the air felt thick, not heavy, just expectant, like it was holding its breath. Coco Gauff stood at the baseline, bouncing the ball with that familiar rhythm, the one that usually settles her nerves. But across the net, Elina Svitolin wasn't blinking. She never does. From a distance, it looked like just another high-level tennis match. Long rallies. Big moments. Momentum swinging like a pendulum. But to someone who had once stood a few feet behind Coco on practice courts, watching her learn, stumble, rise, and reinvent, the cracks were visible. Not flaws. The kind that only show up under pressure. Her former coach saw them immediately. Not because Coco played badly. She didn't. That's the cruel part. She played almost well enough, and at this level, almost is a trapdoor. The first mistake, playing the opponent's tempo. Coco let Svitolin decide the speed of the match. That was the first thing the former coach said, quietly, more disappointed than critical. Svitolin is a chess player disguised as a counterpuncher. She doesn't rush. She absorbs pace, redirects it, and waits for impatience to do her work for her. Against her, power alone isn't a weapon. It's a liability if it isn't paired with patience. Coco tried to hit through her too early. Instead of building points, she shortened them. Instead of stretching Svitolin wide and forcing uncomfortable positions, she aimed for clean winners off neutral balls. And Svitolin, seasoned and calm, simply asked for one more shot. Then another. Then one extra decision Coco didn't want to make. The former coach had preached this lesson years ago. Against a wall, don't swing harder. Change the angle. Coco knew this. But knowing and doing are different things when the stakes are loud. The second mistake, abandoning the forehand identity. Coco's forehand has been both her evolution and her insecurity. It's stronger now, more reliable, capable of dictating points, but under stress, it still whispers doubts. She stopped trusting the forehand cross-court, the coach noted. That's when the court shrinks. Instead of pushing Svitolin back with heavy, looping forehands, Coco flattened them out, aiming safer but landing shorter. That gave Svitolin time to reset, time to counter, time to slide into the point like it was designed for her. The irony is that Coco's best tennis comes when she commits fully. High margin, heavy spin, relentless depth. Against Svitolin, she hesitated. Not visibly, not dramatically, just enough to turn aggression into caution. At the elite level, hesitation is an invitation. The third mistake, emotional transparency. This one hurt the most for the former coach to say. She wore the frustration. Coco has always been emotionally honest on court. It's part of why fans love her. You can see the joy, the fire, the disbelief, the anger, all of it plays across her face. Most days, that emotional openness fuels her. It lifts her when the crowd lifts her. But Svitolin doesn't feed on emotion. She feeds on patterns. Every missed opportunity, every rushed return, every look toward the box told a story Svitolin was happy to read. Not to gloat, just to adjust. Hit one more ball. Extend one more rally. Let the moment grow heavier on the other side of the net. The coach didn't want Coco to be emotionless. Just unreadable. Sometimes, they said, the strongest message you can send is nothing at all. What she did right because there was plenty. The former coach was quick to balance the ledger. Coco competed. She ran. She fought for points she had no business winning. Her serve held up under pressure. Her backhand, still one of the best in the women's game, stood firm. She didn't lose because she lacks talent, the coach said. She lost because she's still learning when not to force growth. That's the paradox of Coco Gauff. She's ahead of schedule, yet still early in the journey. A Grand Slam champion who is also a student. A superstar still figuring out the quiet details that separate great runs from championships stacked on championships. The lesson after Melbourne. After the handshake, after the applause faded, after the locker room door closed, the real work began, not on court, but in reflection. The former coach imagined what they'd say if they were still in that role. You don't need more power. You don't need more speed. You need more trust in time. Trust that not every point has to end quickly. Trust that patience is not passivity. Trust that your game, fully applied, bends even the most disciplined defenders.